Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Digimon, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Andy Potter, and today I'm joined by Steve Zec.
Hello, everyone.
We're going to be talking about the third season of Digimon, Digimon Tamers, today, which is personally my favorite season of Digimon. It's pretty dark, it's really interesting. But before that, you can find everything about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can subscribe to our iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes, where we appreciate your star ratings, or search for Overly Animated on your favorite podcatcher. Also, we have a really great Discord where you can talk about everything, including anime, which includes this Digimon stuff. It's great. You can find more on our website too. Anyways, so Steve, we're going to be talking about possibly, I think, the best season of Digimon here, and it's a doozy. It's a really dark season. It's really weird, and I want to get what's your general take on this season, Steve? Like what are your general thoughts going on into this?
Oh, you say it's your favorite season. Well, for me, the thing about Digimon is it's hard for me to say what's my favorite season. Easiest for me to pick my least favorite season. Digimon Frontier is by far probably my least favorite, and everything else has elements that I really like. Though I'm counting Adventure Zero 2 as one, so, but Tamers is very good. It's very dark, you're right. And it's also the most commercialized season. It's the most Yu-Gi-Oh! Like with the commercialism, since Digimon in this universe is, a actual game, a card game, and whatnot.
And I think this first and second seasons, the Adventure 1 and 2, are like a TV show in this world. I think that's also part of it.
No, that's only in the dub.
That's only that's a difference from the dub.
Yeah,
okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, I love the dub. If it's just added in the dub, it's not canon to me.
Okay,
but
so before we go any further, I think I should mention I watched the dub. Steve watched the sub. And so that's where we're going to have a little bit of differences. We'll talk about that a little bit.
I'll tell you, it'll be fine. I'll tell you when a little different. It's not that much differences, just maybe little stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like changing liquor to milkshakes in one episode, and just minor stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, characters' names. And I do want to talk about the dub in terms of their casting, in terms of how different dubbing in the States are compared to the Japanese, voice casting, in terms of how they have such a much more bigger talent pool to choose from, opposed to the dubbing here in the States, at least especially back then, and how that sometimes affects the show, for me.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely get into that stuff. Well, for me, this season is just really great. I think it's, like I mentioned before, it's really dark, and for me, that the center of that is Jerry, which I really want to get into later, but
I got my thoughts on her too, especially her and Leomon. I just got my own thesis on her.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who've watched this season of Digimon do. I really like Jerry, but I also just really like how this season is kind of opposite of a lot of things you expect from this show. It really goes in different directions than you really are used to, and there's a lot more focus on the main characters being kids, which I like. So, before we get any more into this, I want to say that we're going to talk a little bit about non-spoilers, and I'll give a warning before we really get into the meat of the season, that is the dark stuff. We're going to talk about the setting, the characters, and some of the major themes, and then we'll talk a lot about the stuff that I think you and I really want to talk about, Steve.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
If that sounds good to you. So,
yeah.
So this show, it's about three characters, unlike Adventure 1 and 2, which had a much wider cast. We're focused on three characters here who each have one Digimon, and they're entering these strange storms in Japan that are which are kind of just popping up all over the place, and they're being followed by this organization called Hypnose, which is trying to stop these Digimon from entering, kind of coincidentally parallel to the protagonists. And they're kind of this weird, shady organization run by this man named Mitsuo, who's voiced by the great Steve Bloom. But it's a very basic beginning, essentially. Like there's not a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's just there's Digimon entering the real world, our protagonists fight them, and there's a weird, shady organization, and not much more going on than that. Did you have more to say about this, Steve?
Not much really. Can I just say something quickly about, you mentioned the great Steve Bloom here.
Yeah.
For me, Digimon, like my first, like, one of my early experience in anime, and so, a lot of these voice actors, a lot of these characters, when I hear them other stuff, I'm always gonna think of, say, Digimon first. Like, for example, Melissa Fawn, no matter what character she does, when I hear her voice, first thing pops in my mind is Rika. You get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel that
First thing that
completely.
pops in my mind is Black War Greymon because, part of my early experience in anime.
Yeah. It's really true. Like, a lot of these characters are my childhood, a lot of these voice actors, and, one of the bad things about the dub is that the to be continued section is voiced by the guy who does Davis, and I do not like that, because I just don't like Davis. It's like a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, yeah, though I do sort of redeem myself in terms of, I don't like Davis, but I do like Rock Lee. But,
yeah.
But okay, can I mention that as you get a point, you just go into the point I wanted to make here.
Yeah.
Talking about the talent pool and stuff. It's just that, in Tamers, they re-used a lot of the old, like, adventure actors. And the thing, Japan has the advantage of they have a much wider talent pool, so they don't have to reuse people all the time, but it can be distracting here. Like, Henry's dad is pretty much, I just hear Oikawa's voice. I said Oikawa. Yeah. And like with Renamon, I hear that, are you Kennymon? And, it can be a little distracting.
It can.
Yeah.
But, I think it mostly succeeds at not doing that. I wasn't that distracted during my rewatch, but I do agree that there were definitely some scenes where it was very distracting, and because I was just like, that's not the person I'm hearing. That's like whoever other actor, like you were saying, and it can throw you off. But I think on the whole, the dub is successful at being a dub, and doesn't have any glaring errors. None of the actors are bad. It's just that they're reused, like you said.
Yeah, the one of the strong parts about Digimon dub is definitely the acting, and the writing too. Though, like I said, I do have a little pet peeve with these puns they always add on. But
see, that's the difference between you and me, Steve. I love the puns.
Just compared to for me, who's watched a lot of the Japanese versions, how things just flow much more naturally to me.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer that. But yeah, the dub is great, especially back in its time. And you compare it to, say, the 4Kids One Piece dub. Now that dub was terrible.
Yeah. It's very different. And like you said, this is a really old show for not really old, but I mean, like, it's an older show. It's from 2001, and that's pretty old in terms of dubbing.
Yeah. And that's such a tumultuous time, because back then I'm sure they had to censor a lot of stuff that might have been references to like 9/11 or something. So it was a very crazy time back then.
The crazy thing is they didn't censor the biggest 9/11 reference, which was the Tiger Deva showed up between two like skyscrapers, and there was a fight between two skyscrapers in this show.
Well, this might have been, like I said, this was done around when it debuted. The dub debuted pretty much fall of 2001.
Yes.
This is right in the heart of it, so they might have got all this in the can before then.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to bother censoring it.
Specifically, that episode I'm mentioning aired October 20th, 2001, so it was like a month after 9/11, so it was right after. Anyways, I don't want to get into, like, that's not stuff I really want to get into, but it's interesting. It's interesting what didn't get censored.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, let's get into the characters here, because I think the characters of this show are really good, and I think they're the best. They're the characters I think are the most fleshed out of a lot of the Digimon shows. Just not because I think they put a lot more work in, it's just that there's fewer of them, so they can emphasize these characters a lot more. And the three main Digidestined, or in this show they're called Tamers, are Takato, Rika, and Henry. Mm-hmm. And Takato is the Tai character. He's the guy with the goggles. He's the quote-unquote leader, but he's not really the leader in this show.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what separates Takato from a lot of the normal Digimon leads is he's not really sure of himself. He's not kind of most leaders we've had before, like Tai and especially Davis, and and afterwards they've sort of had a bit more sure of themselves. Like they're like go headfirst into battle, like they think they know everything. Especially a character in Savers, the guy Marcus. he's the most textbook example of just a guy just going in over his head. Well, Takado's more grounded.
Yeah, no, he is. And also it kind of comes from the whole setting of the show, because Takado isn't really in a position where he wants to fight everything. He got Guillaume because he just wanted a friend. Like, this is just, Takado kind of is thrust into this world where he has to fight other people, and he does not really just hop onto that train right away. None of these characters really do, even though... Go ahead.
And really, in this one of the rare shows, I don't really think Takado has a rival. Like, normally one of the staples of Digimon, besides the goggles, is like you have the other guy who's sort of the rival, like the Matt of the show. And I guess you could say Rika kind of comes close, but I never really got that vibe from her. I mean, she never went completely rogue and wanted to challenge him for something, or just went evil like I guess Karl Mack did when he was listening to that little tree Digimon in that one time, or Thomas in Savers.
Yeah, I think Rika was kind of the rival for maybe 2 episodes, but very quickly they're not on the same side, but they're not rivals for sure.
I think that also has to do with Takado's personality, and that he doesn't really attract rivals. He's not like arrogant or anything to get those type of characters, to rival him.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a strength of this show. I think it because that could be done very poorly, but this show does it really well, where Takado is really just not looking to fight people. He's doing this stuff because he sees this is the best path to take, but he doesn't want to be doing it, which is a very nice change from Davis and Tai, and I really like it.
I agree, definitely.
And then our next character is Rika, who is, I think, the weakest of the 3 main. She, at least in the dub, she is. She's, before she got Renamon, her Digimon, she was a Digimon trading card game, nearly a champion, essentially. She lost in the finals of a Digimon trading card championship. And, she's just kind of striving to be the best, and that's really all she has for a lot of the beginning episodes. She gets better past episode 20 or so, but at the beginning she's kind of one note for a little bit. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I see your points, but to me, I kind of disagree with a weak point. I kind of thought overall Henry's sort of more of a weaker character than Rika to me. I guess that's just our taste.
It probably is.
Yeah, I just more interesting. She had more stuff to develop in terms of her family relationships and stuff that interests me, and really I just liked I thought she had potential. I always thought it would be the story that if they wanted to, she could have been sort of gone that dark road of maybe being being the Ken Ichi JoJo of this series, be like the Digimon Empress if they wanted to, or
yeah, I think she almost went down that path. I think the writing almost went that way, but it turned away from that pretty quickly.
I do love this funny little joke. One of the early episodes, I think, I don't know, episode 6, 7. When Takado made a mistake, she called her Rikia-chan, and then she went kind of ballistic. She just chased, and Takao left her house, and then she went right after him and said, "If you call me Chan one more time, I'm gonna kick your butt," or something.
I don't remember the exact scene you're talking about because it didn't translate well. It didn't translate.
I remember it translated in the dub. In the dub, it was Takado called her, jokingly, her dream girl, and
that's really different.
Yeah, well, because like I said, you got Japanese horrifics that just really don't translate well. Speaking of that, when we get past spoilers, I do want to ask you a question about the dub, about something.
Oh yeah, sure.
With Japanese horror, but yeah.
Anyways, but Rika, despite me saying that I think she's the weakest of the 3, I still think she has a lot more depth than a lot of other Tamers and other or Digimon in other seasons.
That's why I like her.
She has a lot of depth, and I really do like, and I'm gonna get into this after we talk about these 3, but I really do like her relationship with her mom. It feels really real. It feels really multifaceted. I really feel that this is a child not sure how to, who's growing up and interacting with her mom and wanting to not be her mom, but also realizing that she still loves her mom. And it's a really fun or nice relationship to see on the screen, because it's not one we usually see in this way, and I like it a lot. But and then last we have Henry, who is kind of the sort like all these characters kind of fit into the weird original Digidestined shells. Like Takato's kind of Tai, but he's not. Rika's kind of Sora, but she's not. And Henry's kind of Matt, but he's not. He's this kind of pacifist guy who has a Digimon for reasons that we'll get into when we get into plot spoilers. And Henry, I find him in the beginning of the series to be most compelling in the first few episodes, because he just, where Takato doesn't fight because he just doesn't have a reason to, Henry like specifically avoids fighting whenever possible because go ahead.
So I just agree with what you say, your comparison. And what I think Rika's more, she's kind of a combo of Sora and Matt, and Henry's maybe sort of a combo of Izzy and Joe, in my opinion. But
I can see that. Yeah, I guess I was being a little more reductive, but yeah, I think those are better comparisons. But yeah, specifically I'm thinking of the Henry when Terriermon first digivolves. And is shooting up that parking garage, and then he gets really upset about it. Like, that's something that doesn't really happen in other Digimon series, where they get upset that their Digimon digivolved. And I liked that. I liked that in the beginning parts of this season.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like that?
It's fine. I'm really in terms of him being very passive. That's what I like, though. I think he's sort of a good counterbalance to Rika, she's like too gung-ho in terms of fighting. So I think those two parts really complement each other well. And Takato, I guess he's also a little passive too, but he's still new to this thing. And you kind of have these two like perspectives, two different sides of this coin together. I like that. I really like that. That's why this season is really one of my favorites.
But I think that also all three of them are kind of mirrors of each other, because also Takato's also about like no structure, and Henry's about structure. And Rika's about fighting to get stronger, and Takato's about just having fun and doing things that make him happy and Guillemon happy. Like, Rika has no care for Renamon, and all of them are kind of just mirrors of each other, and it's really good at the beginning. Like, you feel how they're, like, it makes sense how they don't just come together to be a team right away. I think that was really well done at the beginning of this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah, and so now that we've talked kind of like just mentioned these three, I really want to talk about how these are probably the most children on like this kind of show. Like, they're actually acting like children. They're not fully formed adults yet, and they make opinions based on emotions they don't really control, and I like that a lot. Like, there are scenes where Rika gets upset about her mom, and Rika's not even sure why she's upset, but she's upset at her mom, and it's very evocative of feelings that I had when I was a teenager, when I was a younger child. Like, it's just things that happen when you're a kid. You just have weird feelings about your parents, about your friends, about your family. Like, I really like that about this show. It really does well doing that. And that pays off in spades in the end of this show, in the end of the season.
I think what also helps is the fact that this show right now, at the beginning, is completely set in the real world. There's no digital world. Even Adventures, when it mostly took place in the real world, they still went into the digital world and came back. Yeah. This is totally different. So that's how you kind of get to see a little more relatable to these characters, because they're in like a more realistic world.
Yeah, and I think this does because Digimon Tri is trying to talk about how Digimon they damage the real world. This show does a lot better at tackling that idea that Digimon are hurting people, that they're damaging like buildings and doing property damage. Like, this show does a lot more to talk about that, in just the fact that the show is rooted in the real world. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, like I'm hoping though, once Tri wraps up, that Tamers gets its own like sort of sequel type of movie series too. I mean, why not?
I would love to see more Tamers. Like, I'd really like that. I don't know what they would do, but I would like to see it. I didn't know what they were going to do with Tri, and I'm satisfied with what they're doing so far.
The Tamer sequel would be cool. Would be awesome. Though the series I think has most potential for a series I really wanted to see is a Saber sequel, because I don't know if you saw the ending of that. That really was sequel baiting, and I kind of want to see more of that, but that's another story.
I think I saw it, but I don't remember Sabers. It was a long time ago. Anyways.
Yeah.
I'll be honest and say I don't remember a lot of Sabers. I kind of
well,
just watched them in
well,
the background.
yeah. Well, I'll talk more about my ideas for Saber sequel on the Discord when we're done
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. We don't need to spoil that here.
Yeah.
So anyways. So yeah, did you want to talk about anything about Takato, Rika, and Henry before we move on to some side characters?
Oh, let's see. Not really. I think we got them. Are we gonna like talk about their Digimon partners? Or
Do you
we
want to
just
talk about that? We can talk about that now if you want.
yeah. Let's just I think we already covered Renamon in a way.
Yeah, Rika and Renamon are probably the most
Yeah.
linked. Like they're the
Yeah.
ones that you can't really separate when talking about them.
Yeah. And Terriermon, I guess, is a good kind of balance to Henry in terms of he is also like sort of he's very playful, and that sort of goes against Henry's nature. And while Takato and
Guillemon.
Guillemon, yeah.
Does he have a different name in Japanese?
Yeah. No. I just sort of just lost
Oh, okay.
track in my head. I'm just so many names on this show.
No, there are
But
a lot
yeah.
of names. Don't worry.
He's definitely the most like most big kid like Digimon. He reminds me a lot of I know I've heard the classic story of Mice and Men. He's the most like that big guy character.
I don't know the name. I'm sorry.
There's George and there's Lenny. He's most like
Okay.
Lenny from Mice and Men in terms of how he's so big but he's so nice, and probably sometimes he accidentally causes destruction.
Yeah. And that continues as he digivolves, and like even when he's like Growlmon and War Growlmon, he still is just kind of like a big kid, and it's definitely an interesting it's definitely different than other Digimon we've seen. Also,
Mhm.
he in the dub he's voiced by Steve Bloom, which is a really weird casting because it's just he does not do his normal voice at all for Guillemon. It's just really I was shocked to find out it was Steve Bloom actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm also shocked though with Takato's voice actor, Brian
Peacock.
Peacock. Yeah, cause I know he's the guy that does Yumachika in Bleach, and
Which
he
one's
don't sound
Yumachika?
like
I'm bad at the names.
he's a very effeminate guy.
No, I've watched the show. I've read
Squad
the
11, a fifth seat member, very effeminate person who has very like
what I
he's
remember them
very
by.
vanity-
I remember them by their swords. Which sword did he have?
or what sword he has.
Did he have the one that like doubled the weight of things?
No, he has a. Like I said, he's very vanity. He was dark haired, and you always see him around with the bald guy, the power of the bald dude.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about now. Yeah, no, I got you. Anyways,
Yeah. Anyway.
he voices Takato. You were saying.
Yeah. Yes. They don't sound anything alike
No,
at all. So
they don't.
I give credit to these actors. These voice actors do a very good job in terms of, changing their voices.
Yeah, they're really good at that. And yeah. So that's all you want to talk about, just their Digimon?
Yeah, really. Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. I don't think there's a lot to talk about with them before we really get into the plot, which we're going to get into. And then we have the side characters here, which I think there's a couple here that are just incredible in this show. And we'll touch on Jerry here, but we'll talk about her more when we get into like the weird plot at the end of the show.
Spoilers. Oh yeah, I got some thoughts on her.
Yeah. I'm just going to be quick on Jerry, just to say the beginning of this show it frames her as a love interest for Takato, and it's kind of and it's reciprocated. Like it's kind of shown to be kind of a will they won't they thing for the first maybe like 20 episodes or so, and that is that is not really done that way, and I appreciate that, but she's pretty much just shown as just a love interest for the beginning of the show, which is not what she turns out to be.
Well, my first person of Jerry is that from the beginning I knew she definitely has some issues.
Yeah.
Because when we first saw her with that sock puppet, I'm like, what is it with this girl?
Yeah.
I mean, what's with her? I'm like, okay, she probably has some problems, but I guess, then she's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I like her. She's very likable and she's very sweet and but she's not too Mary Sue-ish either. That's what I like about her too. She's not perfect.
Yeah, she's definitely not perfect. She's just kind of a weird kid that catches up with Takato in detention and stuff sometimes. And I guess I should mention, because Steve mentioned it, she walks around with like the sock puppet and talks through it sometimes, which is one of the creepiest callbacks ever later in this show.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you mentioned detention. Or once again, the most weirdest little thing in terms of distracting thing is Kari is the voice of the teacher.
Yes.
I'm like, damn, that is just that's the most distracting of all, like, bring back voice cast actors.
When I was a kid, I thought this was like a distant time skip from Adventure.
Me too!
Because her voice is literally just Kari's voice.
Yeah, like, that'd be interesting, especially if you saw the end of Adventure 02.
Yeah,
like,
it makes sense.
Supposed to become a teacher? Yeah!
It makes sense. That's what's so confusing. You're like, wait, is this Kari? Because they never say her name, I don't think. Like, or they might, but it's like, they only ever say her last name, which is difficult to tell with women, because it sounds like she's married in this show.
Of course. Well, I don't know if she is or not. Oh, if she is, some teacher has some explaining to, because there's just four eyes. This teacher with glasses that's always sort of hitting on her.
Oh yeah. You're right. So, I don't know.
But of course in Japanese though, different voice actors from Kari, so obviously that wasn't the case. It's just a dub really. Just using their voice actors, because, they got a very small talent pool. They don't have many voice actors to choose from, so.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But the whole classroom stuff, like, is really interesting. There's some fun characters in there, like, Kazu and, what's the other friend's name?
Kentai? I think it's Kentai.
Kazu, Kenta.
Kenta, yeah.
You were close, Kazu and Kenta. They're like the friends with, They're the friends that play the card game with Takato through the show. And,
are we gonna? I'm hopefully when we get to spoilers, we can talk about their spotlight episode. Just a quick bit.
No, we can definitely talk about that. But they're interesting. They're really just the comedic relief of this show a lot of the times, and I think it's okay. I kind of wish they did a little bit more with them through the show, but I'm okay with them not doing too much with them.
And Kenta's voiced by, again, Steve Bloom. I mean, how many characters does he voice on the show?
He voices 3 characters on the show, and possibly like more side characters, like minor characters. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus, so many characters for this poor guy.
The crazy part is, I just watched this show over again, or at least I skipped through it and like caught up on stuff. Like, I didn't notice watching the show again as an adult that they were the same voice actor, which is pretty impressive.
And if I just say very quickly, I'm pretty sure he's also the voice of the evolved version of Impmon.
Beelzemon?
Yeah.
Is he? I can look that up really quick.
I'm not sure. I think someone said it is. Someone on the Discord did say that. So
that's insane. Why did Steve Bloom do so many voices on this show? Like, I have like a vague memory of Steve Bloom being really involved in the dubbing of this show, but I couldn't find anything on
maybe
that.
He might have been like one of the writers and
yeah, I remember something.
They like director, one of those behind the scenes stuff too.
Yeah, I remember,
voice casting. Yeah,
I remember that, but I couldn't find any articles on it, so so I'm just saying that with a grain of salt. Like, I thought I remembered that being a thing, but I wasn't sure. I'm looking. No, he's voiced by Derek Stephen Prince in English version.
Well, no, that's Impmon. I'm pretty sure. Oh, so he does Impmon. He does the evolved version too.
He does. According to the Digimon wiki, he voices Beelzemon as well.
Okay. Well, good job by him.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah. Well, good old Shino. He knows how to do his work now.
Yeah. Yeah. But now since we're on Impmon, might as well talk about it. Impmon is a pretty interesting character because he's just kind of there to cause trouble at the beginning of the season, and he's a pretty fun side character. I like his comedic stuff at the beginning a lot more than I like Kazu and Kenta's stuff.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, like I said, I'm sorry again. I'm just saying distracting. When I first saw him because of the voice actors, he just reminded me so much of Devimon.
Yes.
My own special sidekick, because it's same voice, I'm saying it's just same voice actor, the same voice and same type of character art, like character type, except Impmon's not like a henchman to the villain, but still.
Well, actually, at this point, like when I see Adventure 1 now and I hear Devimon, is that his name? Demi Devimon. Thank you. Demi Devimon. When I hear Demi Devimon's voice, I think he's Impmon now. Like
Well,
that, because Impmon is just the more impressive character to
kind
me.
of different. Well, I feel different because I saw Adventures first, so
I
it's
did
just
too.
hard. Yeah, so.
I don't know.
And also that Meliodas-Mon arc is like one of my favorite arc of Adventures. And Meliodas-Mon is probably my all-time favorite villain. So anything.
Oh, we're gonna argue about that. I think we're gonna argue about that a little later.
Well, I'm not sure the show really had much of a villain with a personality, but whatever. We'll get to that later.
We didn't really.
I thought that was the weak point of Tamers.
Yeah, let's talk about the last major side character, and then we can get into spoilers, okay? Because I think we're itching to get into it. Because the last character I really want to talk about before we get into it is Mitsuo, who is the guy who runs Hypnose, who's also voiced by Steve Bloom. Just so
Oh God, poor guy.
But he also just uses Steve Bloom's normal talking voice. He uses his Spike voice for this character, so it's not like a crazy voice like Guillemon is.
You want to bet all these characters he voiced in the Japanese, voiced by all different actors.
No, I looked just now. They're all voiced by different people.
Yeah, oh man. You see, what I'm gonna say in terms of how different the world is back then with the American dub companies and the Japanese cartoon makers.
Yeah. But I mean, in his defense, he did voice them differently. Like he did do well doing this.
Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from him. He does a great job.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, and so he runs Hypnose, and he's kind of framed as a villain for the first few episodes of this show. Like, you're not sure what his goals are, and he actually even tries to run a program that destroys all Digimon. I think it was called Juggernaut in the dub, where he tries to kill all Digimon. And that's not really a spoiler. That's just like a campy, I'm a villain type plot, you know what I mean? Or not even like a villain type plot. Like, he was just trying to help. He had different motives than other people, and he thought that destroying Digimon was better, and it was worth killing these 3 kids Digimon to protect the real world. And, yeah, so that's kind of what Hypnos was doing. They were just kind of just doing some weird stuff in the background for a while. But, I think we should get into the bulk of this season, Steve, because I think we've just been kind of jumping around from it, like, kind of like circling around it. And the bulk of this season is that after they all get to their ultimate forms, they all digivolve to ultimate, we go to the digital world. And we start doing some really interesting stuff with our characters. We see that Mitsuo, who I just talked about, it turns out to be a guy who's just trying to protect the world. Like, he legitimately just wants to keep the world safe. And he thinks that killing all the Digimon is the right thing to do. And we get into this idea of, do Digimon count as sentient beings that are worth not killing? Like, it gets into like the Jurassic Park discussion.
And I do like though how it seems like one of the early antagonists, the Devas, in terms of they sort of mirror his sort of motivation. That they're just trying to protect the digital world from the humans, and
definitely,
you know.
And there's a lot of that. There's no, like you were talking about. There's no.
It's very X-Men like.
Yes, the villain is very not. There's really not a villain. There are antagonists in this show, but there aren't. I guess you can say that there aren't really villains in this show. But we'll talk about the last villain in a sec. But anyways, they go to the digital world. They continue fighting the Devas or going through the Devas to reach the Digimon Sovereign, and along the way we get to probably maybe the most sad moment in all of Digimon, which is Leomon dying in this show.
Oh yeah, I got my thoughts on that. And
do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to like?
I just want to talk about. Can I just want to talk about Jerry's like relationship with Leomon and why I thought she gravitated to him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in the episode she introduced, she always called him Leomon-saman. In the English dub, what was that translated to? Because I think. Was it Mr. Leomon or Sir Leomon?
Yeah, something like that. Like, it was more of a knightly, like, protection thing. Like, Leomon viewed himself as, like, a knight that was protecting Jerry, and it was kind of, they used language like that when talking.
Well, yeah, in the introduction episode, it was sort of, looked like maybe she had a crush on Leomon, but I have a different interpretation.
The dub definitely didn't do that.
Oh, okay. Well, what I had interpretation was, Leomon was sort of maybe the father figure she was always looking for, because as we meet Jerry's father later on, he's such a cold, distant person for most of the series until towards the end. He's pretty much like the Gabriel Iglesias of the series, pretty much. I compare him. So I think
that's a comparison.
Yeah, that was what Jerry was sort of looking for. Like Leomon was sort of like maybe this parental figure, this kind parental figure that she kind of lost maybe a long time ago when her mom died, and her dad is just a very distant, cold person.
Yeah, and I think that's a good analysis of Leomon here. Leomon is really filling a place in Jerry's heart in this,
Yeah.
in the time in the digital world. Like Leomon is helping her heal because part of Jerry's story is that her mom died, and she now has a stepmother, and she's not really capable of dealing with it, which gets back into my talk about how these are actually kids. Like Jerry, like an adult could find a way to deal with this. Like they could find a way to deal with this trauma and grief. But Jerry is, I think, 10 years old in this show. Is that correct?
I don't know, maybe 10, 11.
I'll check.
No younger than 13, I believe.
Yeah, no. She's fairly. All the kids are fairly young. I'll look at Takado's age because they're the same age. Takado is not listed here. That's cool. They're in middle school. That's all I know for sure. They're like in middle school.
Well, actually elementary school, because in Japan, middle school is when you start wearing school uniforms. So,
oh wow,
probably even younger than that. But I don't know what year you start middle school.
In the dub, I think they're a little bit older because I know for a fact Rika is aged up 3 years, so I assume they all are aged up 3 years in the dub.
So,
anyways, the point is that she's young, and she's not developed enough mentally. Like she's just not an adult. She's not built to deal with this grief, and so she just kind of offloads it onto Leomon. And when he dies, it all just kind of the dam that she's built now has just breaks and crumbles, and it's just horrible to watch. Like what?
It's like her mom died all over again.
Yeah, exactly. And watching her just kind of that Digivice that has static on it like haunts my dreams sometimes. Like she holds that thing through the rest of the show, and it is so depressing watching her hold it and just hope that it stops showing static. It is so depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the time, this is like only the second Leomon we've met, so he did not yet have that reputation of always dying. So
was Leomon not in Adventure 02?
Well, if he was, maybe he did come back, but he did get resurrected, but that's like I said, in Adventure 02, that's the same Leomon.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm saying it's just new canon, it's new Leomon.
Yeah.
And two. And, so it's just sort of a new thing. It wasn't kind of a regular thing, a tradition of Leomon dying, so it wasn't that predictable yet at the time.
Yeah, he was only like a cameo in Adventure 2. He didn't have anything that happened like that. So yeah, this is before we had the trend of all Leomon must die for some reason. But it's really sad. And we haven't even touched on how he died, which is Impmon was on like a quest for power and became literally a devil, Beelzemon, and killed Leomon by stabbing him.
So I can remember correctly though, I think Leomon was taking the blow for someone. I think Beelzemon was going for someone else. I think it was Takado's Digimon.
I think you're right. He was going for somebody. I can look it up
because I remember Leomon, jumping in front of someone. That's why I remember him dying, because he saved someone. That's what I remember, but could be wrong.
I don't remember.
The point is he died, right?
he was going to kill Growlmon.
Yeah, Growlmon. Yeah, that's why I remember. Yeah.
Yes, you are, or one of them. Doesn't matter. He defeated all the other people. Leomon stepped in to help, and he got killed for it, which is really depressing.
Yeah, and then what happened later on with Takado definitely reminds me of something that happened with Tai in Adventures in terms of evolution.
This is the better version of Skull Greymon. This is what Skull Greymon should have been. Not like putting yourself in danger. This is just pure anger and hate turning Guilmon into this monster. And it was...
Takado's situation is more relatable. Like,
it is.
Just angry. Well, Tai is just an arrogant little,
Yeah.
At the time.
Using language we can't use here, but or not to use language we can't use here, but Takado's reaction is just so childish, and we all feel it. We've all felt that way as a kid. We've all felt the way like, why can't me being angry fix this? Why can't me just being angry enough at what just happened fix this horrible thing that just happened to me? Like, it's so relatable, and it's so depressing to watch it happen. And Jerry's just sitting there crying in the background. And then it just gets even worse because then Takato becomes the hero. He becomes Gallantmon with Guilmon. And even then, it's not a heroic moment when he goes to kill Beelzemon. It's still depressing. It's not great. And Jerry still stops him. Jerry saves Beelzemon. Jerry keeps him from being killed. And it's just like, Jerry is just so interesting and so complex, but so is Takato and all these other heroes here at the same time, and it's hard to watch this scene. This scene is really hard to watch.
Yeah, it was, and I can make depressing. It was at the hands of someone who was someone we got to know, like sort of like a protagonist. If it was just a straight out villain that did it, it might have been more easy to deal with.
Impmon, through the show, was kind of played off as this silly antagonist that would be turned into a good guy. He does get turned into a good guy, but he kills somebody, legitimately kills somebody before he gets turned. It's not... It's definitely... It's kind of an Empire Strikes Back moment. Like, this is not a win for the good guys.
And even like early on, even when you sort of was like kind of an antagonist, it's still the way the narrative was, you're still supposed to care about him.
Yeah.
So it's not, like I said, it's not Myotismon kills like Punkmon and Gachumon, you know.
No, this is a person who wants to be liked. Impmon, to be honest, what he wants more than anything is to be liked and wanted, and he's going about it in this really bad way. This
for me probably it does rival, like, it's right up there with Punkamon and Gachumon's death in terms of Leomon's death here. I mean, they're like 1 and 1A in terms of my saddest like moment of Digimon for me when I'm always like in tears.
I think this is worse. I think this is worse just because of everything around it. It's supported by the rest of the show a lot better.
I know. Leomon's more important character. Those were side characters, but well, like I said, I saw Adventures.
No, I know. I get you. I understand what you're saying. That is a very sad moment. It's just, I think this is a sad moment that's surrounded by a lot of sad stuff that builds up to it.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's really, it's tough, and Beelzemon is a tough character to, Beelzemon's a tough character whenever he's on screen. Also, to mention, they got shotguns into the American dub of this, which is very surprising. Beelzemon's just riding around on a motorcycle shooting things with a shotgun, which is something I would not expect to happen in a dub nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really didn't expect that either. When I was rewatching this earlier, I was going to ask you, did they edit that? Because I was curious, how do they keep that in?
When he shoots in the dub, it's just like red stuff. Is that how it is in the Japanese version?
I don't think it's red stuff. It's
actual like bullets.
Bullets.
Yeah. No, in the dub, it's a lot more like he shoots it and like red energy comes out or stuff like that, or it just like flashes to red when it's in like, because there is a shot where the gun is like facing the camera and it just goes to red. So like, I think they edited it that way, but he still is carrying shotguns. Like, there's no way to like change that. You know what I mean? He still has a shotgun.
Well, kids might have tried. I mean, it might turn into a lollipop, but...
yeah, who knows? We're not One Piece here. We can't do that. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, so after all this stuff happens, after we talk about, after Leomon dies, we get into a plot about the digital world being destroyed, right? And it's being kind of eaten. Is that the way to put it? Like it's being eaten by the D Reaper or deleted, something of that.
Deleted. That's a better word. Deleted. That's a more accurate word because it's a computer program.
Yeah. It's something of that nature. I don't think the complete nature of the D Reaper is ever really explicitly like explained. Like we have explanations for it, but it's never like we're for sure what it's doing. Because it's like a weird alien consciousness thing. But for all intents and purposes, though, it's eating the digital world, and it starts eating the real world. And this is where the show goes from really fun and cool and kind of sad to just possibly one of my favorite things that Digimon has ever done, which is the D Reaper, for whatever reason, Steve, don't ask me why this works this way, but the D Reaper is powered by strong emotions.
I don't know that makes no sense, but it's a common trope
Yeah, you know,
cartoon. So yeah,
let's suspend our disbelief here, Steve, and just accept that it gets powered off strong emotions. Okay, let's
yeah,
accept that. But that's a
yeah.
thing. And
Well,
who else?
personally, yeah, I think though the similar plot lines are done in Savers, and I thought they did that a little better, but that's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
I think the D Reaper's mechanism is poorly done, but I think it's the reason it's done and the character's reaction to all of it is very well done because it's the person, so it's powered off strong emotions, and the person with the strongest emotions in the area just happens to be the young girl who just watched her surrogate father figure die. Jerry gets kind of parasited, and
Yeah, and the thing I don't get, it was so funny to watch though, like it's when she comes back home, like no one really
oh
notices
my
or no one really
god.
says what the hell's wrong. Like she looks so. Has anyone ever seen The Exorcist? I mean, come on, there's something not right with
Yeah,
her. Right
there's
now.
once we get back to the real world, there are some really creepy horror-esque scenes with Jerry, and yeah, like we were talking about, no one comes to meet her, and I think Takato takes her home, and Jerry's home is perpetually like in darkness. It's a really interesting animation choice, and it's really, really ups and makes it feel like Jerry is not normal in this situation.
I think to be a dead tip off for these people when she tried to strangle her little brother. I think that would have been a
Yeah,
tipping point for me. I would have said I would have done something beyond just move on. Like it's like there's nothing, which is I guess what I guess the father does, and I guess the stepmom does too.
this
But I think
these aren't the parents of the year, Steve. Let's be honest.
yeah. Yeah, well, I think stepmom. I give her a break. I think she's trying. I think she's
Yes,
trying her hardest.
yes.
I think the dad is more of the bad parent, in my opinion. But and I think even his wife might is a little afraid of him at least early on, at
Yeah.
least before he gets some development later on. But yeah,
The real parent problem here is that they don't ask her what's wrong. They don't sit her
yeah,
down and talk to her. And that's,
obvious.
yeah, and that would deal with a lot of the problems here. But instead, Jerry is just left to kind of wallow and just think about Leomon forever and sit in her room with her Digivice. And this is also when her sock puppet comes back
Hmm.
in the most creepy way ever. Because at this point, Jerry is replaced. Jerry is kidnapped essentially by the D Reaper. And the D Reaper replaces her with a weird clone thing of her. And the sock puppet becomes fused to the clone's hand. And it is super creepy. Were you really creeped out by that sock puppet thing too, Steve?
Oh yes, yes. Oh, puppets always creep me out to begin with, so that only helps. And even more weird up is later on when we see like that takes that weird little monster Jerry form, which was, ooh, it still kind of
God.
creeps me out a bit.
The way it grows into like a weird devil angel thing, like it is so creepy.
Yeah, I'm getting Tamer's villain's point in terms of being scary and creepy and stuff. I just don't think they have much of a personality. I thought that's their weak point. To me,
Yeah.
a villain, I need some personality. That's why I really love my Otismon and even Karada from Savers in terms of give me some personality. But the D-Weavers are fine too.
Yeah.
It's just my personal preference.
Yeah, in your defense, I think that's a fair argument. Like that the D Reaper isn't really a character; it's a plot device.
Oh, I
But
could just imagine Dylan here saying, "Not a character."
no. But Dylan, in this one situation, Dylan is right. Like the D Reaper is not a character;
Yeah.
it is just a weird plot device. But it's cloning other characters, so it kinda has a character, but not really. It's really Jerry's character being twisted and projected on other things, which is really interesting to see, and I like it a lot. But
Yeah.
so now that we're
Yeah.
at this point,
You know
Steve,
what the character would remind me of? It just reminds me a bit of Homunculus from Fullmetal Alchemist in a weird way, like a father, pretty much.
oh father, I guess
Yeah,
because it's like not really like it doesn't really have a human
yeah.
thought
That's what I mean.
process.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I can see that. I think father is a little more human than the D Reaper, but I do get that father is really weird, and so is this weird red Jello thing. But now that we're at this point, Steve, where we kind of touched on all we've touched on the plot points here, what the what Jerry is going through. What did you want to talk about most about Jerry? Because I know you wanted to talk about her.
Well, I don't know. Did I ever talk about? Oh yeah, like I said, I think I talked about like her relationship with her father, Leomon. In terms of like her trauma, I don't know what else I could say. I think I touched everything we really want to talk about. I did, like I said, how she has a big heart, able to forgive Bidalzomon for what he did, and even at the end, you kind of, the last scene when she kind of says, Bidalzomon, are you okay, or something, and in terms of, he finally, like, gets that forgiveness, or, that, I thought that was well earned.
Do you want to talk about Beelzemon then, and his arc?
Yeah, okay, I guess talk a little bit of his arc. Yeah, interesting though, this is like first, like maybe only time you have Digimon that has two partners. I mean, what's up with that? I mean, really, I guess that's maybe a plot point or something.
It was a plot point because they were just getting really jealous and wanted to both be friends with him. It was a very childish thing, but it was a very.
But you have if this go by normal Digimon after everything else, that it would turn out eventually that really his partner is only one of them. Really.
Yeah.
If I ever do a sequel, maybe they could address that. Then one person has to accept that, but that's off topic. That's all on the point there. But really, they're not much really involved in the story. It's really, Impmon is like one of the few Digimon really that's pretty much his partner. It's really just about him in terms of this dynamic. So I thought that's a unique take, and I kind of like that. And throughout this thing, you see kind of, I think he had very good like rapport with, Kulumon and Renamon. I really like their dynamic.
I think that's Calamon in English, the English version.
Okay, I'm just watching.
No. I'm not trying to cut you off. Just keep talking. Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Calamon. Yeah, I just finished watched 51 episodes.
No, I feel
that's
you.
One of my characters whose names I sort of least remember. So I'm sorry, but yeah, I thought good arc in terms of how he first gains powers the wrong way against evolution, and then in the end, when he gets that, when he kind of reconciles with his, partners, and, he gets that toy ray gun, and he gets that kiss from the girl, and then he goes off, and then he finally evolves the good way.
Yeah, or
digivolves if you want to go by the dub term.
Yeah, when he becomes blast mode, it's actually very emotional. But he gets the gun, and then he grows the wings, and it's just like, the wings coming out of his back is just such a payoff moment. Because you're like, Impmon, you finally got there. You finally figured it out. You're good now. And he goes flying off to help Jerry, and it was very emotional for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and also though, it was sort of like, really bittersweet though to watch how he failed to save her.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And how it was the guilt pretty much, and it was sort of the D-Reapers and Jerry to push him away. But the thing, one thing he has going against him, no matter what, you're not the main character, so you can't save her anyway, so.
But I mean, like, didn't he save her though? Cause he woke her up. He got her to realize that she was lost in this dark place.
Yeah.
And that was kind of half the battle with the D-Reaper, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
Takato ended up saving her physically, but I think there's an argument for Beelzemon saving her spiritually, which is just as important in this finale.
Yeah, I see. That's a good point. And I like how before he goes into the battle against the D-Reapers, he says he sees on TV what's going on. He says, "Oh, I gotta go. My friends need me." In fact, that he acknowledges them as his friends was a big moment for him.
I actually almost you almost killed them last time you saw them, Impmon. Why do you think you're friends with them still? But yes, it's a move in the right direction for him. He's being nice. He's helping people. I'll give it to him. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Like I said though, and normally every series has that one character that starts off antagonist and then turns good. Adventures, of course, had Gatomon. Adventure 02, of course, had Ken. And Impmon fills that role here.
But he does it in I think I like his arc a little bit more. It was a lot more interesting to follow.
Yeah, it's less black and white, more gray area here.
Yeah, no, and that's obviously what I like more. When I'm watching TV, I like this gray stuff, and this is a surprisingly gray character in a show that's not really known for gray morality. Yeah, so it was this was a very interesting choice for a finale for this show because it was not a normal Digimon finale. Like this is just a really dark season ended with pretty much the fight for a character's soul. Like this whole finale is about saving Jerry. Like there's nothing more going on here. Like we have to save this girl who's suicidal and help her realize that we're here for her. And at first when I describe it that way, it comes off as like, oh, they're gonna like convince someone to not commit suicide because their friends are there. But like it doesn't do that. It tries to do that. Characters try to do that because they're kids. The kids think they can just walk up to Jerry and be like, hey, we're here for you. It's going to be okay. And that's enough. But it's not. Because they constantly fail to convince her to be better. They constantly fail to help her be better. And at the end, it ends up being Jerry realizing that she needs to be better. She needs to help herself in some ways. And it's not true for everybody. It's not the right way. Like everyone's head is different, but for Jerry, that was the thing she needed. What she needed was to realize that she can keep moving on, and her friends being there helped. But it was in the end her choice to make, and it was a very powerful thing to do. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and you know what, Jerry? I like I think one reason for choosing underrated. I love when these type of characters sort of interact.
Yeah.
In terms of opposites, it's sort of Jerry and Rika in terms of the one who's sort of more aggressively and the one who's sort of more passive, which is what we saw a little bit with Sora and Mimi in the past, and which I also thought potentially could be something good with the future with Christy and Relina and Savers. I like that type of dynamic and how Jerry, I guess, sort of helped Rika a bit earlier in the series, be a little more friendly and stuff, and how everyone's trying to help Jerry here, and like I said though, it's really Jerry's the hero of her own story here.
Yes,
it's not Takato saving the day here, being his knight in shining armor or anything. I like that, and I like how everyone's like flawed here. It's not simple of just black and white here, which I like, and I'm not sure though if I wanted like Jerry's dad to be redeemed. I don't know. I thought maybe that's a little unrealistic, but it's a kids show.
It is a kids show, but I think what I'm trying to get at here is that it's a kids show that treats its characters like kids. It tells kids that it's okay to not know what to feel. It's okay to feel these things. Like a lot of times when you have kids in these TV shows, like they're really well formed already. Like they're able to make decisions in ways that kids just can't do.
Yeah.
And this show really shows that kids don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I know. And I say, I love Jerry, though I really don't like her dad. Really, that guy just...
But I mean, you're supposed to not like him, Steve.
Yeah.
He's like the Jerry of... wow, I just realized that Steve really... I'm saying Jerry as in Jerry from Rick and Morty, to be clear.
Oh, yeah. I guess so, yeah.
He's just supposed to be unlikable.
Yeah, I guess so. Or the better comparison would be Weiss's dad.
Yes, yeah, that's the actual better comparison without using the same spoken name. That was just the person I went to first. I don't know. But yeah, I like this end. And you touched on this. You touched on how Takato isn't the knight in shining armor, which is really great, considering he literally is a knight in shining armor in this scene. Like, you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, Takato's gonna save the day. Takato's coming in, flying in. But at the end, he wins in his, like, human state. Like, Takato talks to Jerry. Like, that's the final fight, really. Like, there is, like, a quote-unquote final fight, but the final battle, the final thing that happens, like, Takato is inside the D-Reaper as a human, and I think that's a really great choice story-wise for this show.
Yeah. And actually, this one of the times though, I really think though the final battle, it's way better in Japanese in terms of the background music they had. The music score they had for that final fight was so great. You gotta check it out. The beginning of episode 51. Yeah,
I'll probably have to check that out because
it's this great song like.
I don't think that came across well, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yep,
I don't think
I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm not a singer, man. I got a good impressionist of doing music songs. And before, like, also, talk about side characters. There are two very mysterious characters in this series I want to touch on.
Yeah.
In terms of their origins, Ryu and Alice.
Yes.
I mean, Ryu because we saw a cameo by him in Adventure Zero 2.
He's also... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, in Ken's backstory, we saw him there, and I'm like, is that a connection somehow?
Who knows, man.
Yeah. But in Alice, the mysterious blonde girl that helps them out, she's obviously a ghost.
Yes, that was a weird... I think Alice might be my least favorite part of this entire show. Like, I don't understand why Alice is a ghost, but she is for some reason.
But I do like the idea, though, they introduced the idea, though, a kid character actually died. So that makes it a little more darker.
Yeah.
And that's a unique concept, so at least I like that.
Yeah, this show is dark. This show is really dark.
It's funny, though, like, Toy, this is the third season of Digimon, very dark, obviously, maybe the darkest season they did. And Toei Animation makes this. They also make Sailor Moon. In the third season of Sailor Moon S is the most darkest season of Sailor Moon. So what is it with threes? I mean,
I don't know. 3, I think that's a normal. I think 3 tends to be like the third iteration of something tends to be one where like we got to get edgy. And this show doesn't get edgy, but it does get emotional. It does get darker, and I like it. I like where this show goes in the end. And I don't know if there's any more really to say. I think we touched on a lot of stuff here, Steve. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Oh, okay. What do you think of the Kento and Kazu's little episode they had when them and Rika went in that little adventure? I kind of thought that was kind of a nice comic relief moment right there.
I thought it was fine. Like, I don't remember having any like strong reactions to it. But I might. It's kind of bad because I just rewatched it. I kind of was just like, I want us to get to the good plot stuff. You know what I mean? Which is a bad opinion to have. You know what I mean? While you're rewatching a show, it's like I want to get to the stuff I really remember liking because I might like the stuff I'm watching now rewatching. You know what I mean? And so I think I was lost in that a little bit. Like I was like, oh, this is fun, but I want to get to Jerry. I want to get to Leomon dying and all the fun stuff there.
Oh yeah.
And that was bad. You know what I mean? Watching it that way.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, I just want to mention that because early in the podcast I teased that, so I had to mention it now because I don't want to, false advertisement. But other than that, I got more to say. I do think though interesting though how you have a lot of Digimon that are very independent of their partners. Like Impmon was able to do stuff on his own, and same thing with Lopmon. I mean, you didn't see much of Susie really being much of a tamer.
No, but I think it's true of all these tamers Digimons. Like Guilmon, Terriermon, and Renamon are all fully fleshed characters, and it's really fun to watch them interact. And they all have time alone away from their tamer because they have to go to school, and so Guilmon is alone in a place by himself. Like he does things, and it's interesting to watch.
And it's the first really season that really goes into kids being kids in terms of their school lives and really get a lot of focus on the parental characters, which you really don't see much of in the adventures. I mean, we saw a little bit. I'm not saying they're not in it, especially with Izzy.
Yeah.
They had, but
This show really emphasizes that they're kids in school.
Yeah.
But also, you were talking about Kenta and Kazu at that episode. Was that the episode they kissed?
Oh, no, that's later on.
Okay.
But they kept that in the double when I asked that too.
No, they didn't. They didn't. That's one of the few things I found they cut.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think it might have been. I know it's I remember Rika sort of just say, wake up, guys. Okay. And Casey kind of fall into Kenta or one or the other one, because I don't even get them confused. I don't know which. And they accidentally kissed. Which is very much. Is it similar to something that was cut in the original Naruto dub?
No, that was in the original Naruto dub. That was in it.
No, not in the first one. And when they redid the unedited dub, they did it again.
Oh,
when it aired on Toonami, they cut that.
Did they? No, I remember that. I remember watching it on TV and seeing that, or at least I thought I did. It might be a false memory.
Yeah, when they re-aired on Adult Swim, they had that. I'm talking about
maybe I watched it on Adult Swim the first time.
Yeah. But that was a funny little gag. But though at the same time, we got it's. I don't know if we could do that anymore because now we gotta take, homosexuality, same-sex relationship more seriously. I could just imagine though Dylan being like really irritated by that joke.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good. Like, I think this is a good place to talk since we haven't touched on it at all. That this show does not have a lot of good representation, like in any way. They're all like, I mean, all the characters are Japanese, but they, for all intents and purposes,
actually no. Henry's half like,
Chinese. Half
yeah,
Chinese.
So.
But for the sake of the show, they're all very homogenous. All the characters look very samey in this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just wanted to mention about anime. I don't know if it gets better. I guess in Frontiers, there's one girl that's Italian. So I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. Digimon's really not good with that, really, in terms of representation. And when they do, it sometimes can get a little over the top, like in the whole Adventures 02 World Tour. You remember that?
I don't.
When they went to like all these different countries to get all these.
Oh yeah. No. I remember now. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They were like riding Imperial Dramon all over the place.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my god, that does not age well.
No, a lot of things in this show don't age well. But anyways, I think we've sufficiently talked about this topic, Steve, and it was really fun to talk about it.
Okay. Fun. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully when the Try wraps up, we can just do an overall review of Try, because it's definitely more current. Yeah.
Try I love a lot, and it has problems. It has some problems. We can talk about that. Maybe we can get into more problems with Try, because Try's a little more, I don't know, more modern, and so I can just kind of wrap my head around it a little better. But
it's still supposed to take place in 2005, that Try.
But I mean modern in terms of like modern.
It just reminded me of something. When I rewatched Tamers, it just sort of hit me just now in terms of, it's definitely weird watching a show now back then in which people are so reliant on landlines. I mean, very few cell phones. I'm like, that was just something else for me, because I'm so used to that in the cartoons nowadays. Everyone has cell phones.
Yeah, everyone. But in this show, like, there are multiple times they just pick up a landline, and I'm just like, oh right, that's a thing. That's a thing now. Yeah,
and like in trouble, like if we have to get in contact with Dakado, and if he's not home, we're screwed, and nothing we can do.
Yeah, and then there's also the thing where the internet's really young in this show. Like, the internet's a very new idea still. Like, it was a new idea in Adventure, obviously, but in this show, it's kind of a little more fully fledged as we know it today. Like, in 2001, you could Google things, and in this show, it kind of makes the internet into a real thing for once, and it's interesting. It's interesting the difference, the way they handle the digital world in this show and the previous one.
Yeah, you really, I don't know if you want to check out any more, like, modern, like, recent Digimon and see how they handle technology. You should really check that out and see how it differs.
Yeah, no, it's probably an interesting thing to look at.
If I can recommend series,
oh yeah, sure.
Digimon Cross Wars is very good. At least the first 2 arcs, first 54 episodes. The last 25 Young Hunters, I kind of would stay away from. It's not that good. Though the last 4 episodes has some fan service. I'm just saying, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but they have a nice little surprise for old school Digimon fans.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm only talking about Savers. Savers was a guilty pleasure of mine. I just like some of the characters, though the weak link is the main character. I can't stand him, but
he's the guy that has to punch Digimon right?
Yeah, he gets on my nerve, but I'm the one who, that's one series when I'm really, actually most Digimon series, I'm mostly on the rival side. Like, they have the better point. Like, most of the time, I've always been on Matt's side compared to Ty's side.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, why is that?
I don't know. But, it's interesting. But thanks for the Rex. I definitely should, I like Digimon, so I definitely should go and look at that. I should see how the technology changes, because I watched through Frontier, and Frontier doesn't really touch on that a lot, because they're always in the digital world for that show. But
yeah. Oh yeah, and the Cross Wars dub, which is called in Japan here, and it's called Digimon Fusion. They have a lot of the old voice actors back. Let's see. You got the voice of Sora. Colleen O'Sullivan's in that, and so is the voice of Rika, Melissa Fawn, and also Vic Manana's in that.
And yeah.
So yeah, you gotta check that out, at least for the dub, for the cast. And these are some big time players.
Yeah, you do. But this was fun, Steve. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about Tamers. I like Tamers
Okay.
a lot. I like it a lot. And so,
yeah, I do want to, can I plug what I want?
You can plug your thing. I'll pull up my stuff and you plug.
Okay, alright, because we talk about anime here all the time here in OVA. And coming soon, me, Beatrice Morale, and Michelle Andrews, we're gonna cover Sailor Moon S. Similar to how we discussed Tamers here, so look for that in the near future. Probably in 2018, because, holiday season, we're kind of busy.
Who's hosting that?
Oh, Beatrice.
Yeah, Beatrice will host a fun conversation there then. She knows. She's a lot better at hosting than me. I'm still,
I did a fun job here.
No. I'm still learning a little bit. I haven't hosted a lot. This is my first time hosting in months. Yeah. Anyways.
I'm not really good with doing these articles. Cause I stick in my grammar. I just type. The problem with me is, I think faster than I type.
No,
so
I feel that.
Yeah.
I talk faster than I think.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I'll just start saying things and my brain will be like, stop talking. I need to think a little bit. Anyways, so you can find out everything about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. Again, join us on Discord like we've been mentioning this whole time. Like, Discord's a lot of fun. We talk about anime here. We talk about all our shows. It's a lot of fun. Join us over there at overlyanimated.com/Discord to get a link to it. And you can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Sagatores. Thank you very much. And also thank you to all our executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh.
And you got yourself.
I wasn't listing myself, Steve, because it felt weird to say my own name, okay?
Well, Alex always says yours truly, but...
It's fine. I'm not cutting this. This is fine.
All right.
Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.